Hey students and friends, how's it going? Today I'm going to be sharing with you another story. This is a special one. I'm going to be sharing with you today Sir Orfeo, as translated by JRR Tolkien. Now, if you know The Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, or, just literature in general, you probably know of JRR Tolkien. He's a master of language, and so it's very special to be reading these translations as put to page by him. I've read Sir Gawain and the Green Knight from this particular book, not Pearl yet, so we're going to skip and go to Sir Orfeo. Sir Gawain and the Green Knight is a wonderful classical story from Arthurian legend, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. That said, there was definitely some dense language in there, as you would come to expect from J.R.R. Tolkien. So I'm going to do my best to translate as best as I can from written word to spoken word as I read along, but if I make any sorts of slips or anything like that, please forgive me and carry on enjoying this story. Now, a little bit differently today, as opposed to simply having the camera here and staring at me reading a book, I figured it'd be nice to enjoy some of this beautiful scenery that I myself am enjoying while I read this story to you. So, I'm going to set the camera up right about here, like that, and we will go ahead and begin Sir Orfeo. Enjoy. Sir Orfeo. We often read and written find, as learned men do us remind, that lays that now the harpers sing are wrought of many a marvelous thing. Some are of weal and some of woe, and some do joy and gladness know. And some are guile and treachery told, and some the deeds that chanced of old. Some are jests and ribaldry, and some are tales of fairy. Of all the things that men may heed, 'tis most of love they sing indeed. In Britain all these lays are writ, there issued rhymes in rhyming fit, concerning adventures in those days, whereof the Britons made their lays. For when they heard men anywhere tell of adventures that there were, they took their harps in their delight, and made a lay, and named it right. Of adventures that did once befall, some can I tell you, but not all. Listen now, lordlings good and true, and Orfeo I will sing to you. Sir Orfeo was a king of old, in England lordship high did hold. Valor he had and hardihood, a courteous king whose gifts were good. His father from King Pluto came, his mother from Juno, king of fame, who once of old as gods were named, for mighty deeds they did and claimed. Sir Orfeo, too, all things beyond, of harping sweet delight was fond. And sure were all good harpers there, of him to earn them honor fair. Himself he loved to touch the harp, and pluck the strings with fingers sharp. He played so well beneath the sun, a better harper was there none. No man hath in this world been born, who would not, hearing him, have sworn, that as before him Orfeo played, to joy of paradise he had strayed, and sound of harpers heavenly, such joy was there and melody. This king abode in Thracians, a city proud of stout defence. For Winchester 'tis certain then, as Thracians was known to men, there dwelt his king in fairest bliss, whom men called Lady Herodris. Of ladies then the one most fair, whoever flesh and blood did wear. In her did grace and goodness dwell, but none her loveliness can tell. It so did chance in early May, when glad and warm doth shine the day, and gone are bitter winter showers, and every field is filled with flowers. On every branch the blossom blows, in glory and in gladness grows. The Lady Herodress, the Queen, 2 maidens fair to garden green. With her she took a drowsy tide of noon to stroll by orchard side, to see the flowers there spread and spring, and hear the birds on branches sing. There down in the shade they sat all 3, beneath a fair young grafted tree, and soon it chanced the gentle Queen fell there asleep upon the green. Her maidens durst her not awake, but let her lie her rest to take. And so she slept till midday soon was past, and come was afternoon. Then suddenly they heard her wake, and cry and grievous clamor make. She writhed with limb, her hand she wrung, she tore her face till blood there sprung. Her raiment rich in pieces rent, thus sudden out of mind she went. Her maidens too then by her side no longer durst with her abide, but to the palace swiftly ran, and told their knight and squire and man, their queen it seemed was sudden mad. Go and restrain her, they them bade. Both knights and ladies thither sped, and more than 60 damsels fled. To the orchard, to the queen they went. With arms to lift her down they bent, and brought her to her bed at last, and raving there they held her fast. But ceaselessly she still would cry, and ever strove to rise and fly. When Orfeo heard these tidings sad, more grief than ever in life he had, and swiftly with 10 knights he sped to bower, and stood before her bed, and looking on her ruefully, "Dear life," he said, "what troubles thee? Whoever quiet hast been and sweet, why dost thou now so shrilly greet? Thy body that peerless white was born is now by cruel nails all torn. Alas, thy cheeks that were so red are now as wan as thou wert dead. Thy fingers too, so small and slim, are strained with blood, their hue is dim. Alas, thy lovely eyes in woe now stare on me as on a foe. Ah, lady, mercy I implore. These piteous cries come, cry no more, but tell me what thee grieves, and how, and say what may thee comfort now." Then lo, at last she lay there still, and many bitter tears did spill. And thus unto the king she spake, "Alas, my lord, my heart will break. Since first together came our life, between us never was wrath nor strife. But I have ever so loved thee, as very life, and so thou me. Yet now we must be torn in twain, and go I must, for all thy pain." "Alas," said he, "then dark my doom. Where wilt thou go, and go to whom? But where thou goest, I come with thee, and where I go, thou shalt with me." "Nay, nay, sir, words avail thee not. I will tell thee how this woe was wrought. As I lay in the quiet noontide, and slept beneath our orchard side, there came 2 noble knights to me, arrayed in armor gallantly. "We come," they said, "thee swift to bring to meeting with our lord and king." Then answered I both bold and true, "Thou that dared I not, and would not do." They spurred them back on swiftest steed. Then came their king himself with speed, 100 knights with him and more, and damsels too were many a score, all riding there on snow-white steeds, and white as milk were all their weeds. I saw not ever anywhere a folk so peerless and so fair. The king was crowned with crown of light, not of red, gold, nor silver white, but of one single gem 'twas hewn, that shone as bright as sun at noon. And coming straightway he me sought, and would I or no, he up me caught, and made me by him swiftly ride upon a palfrey by his side, and to his palace thus me brought, a dwelling fair and wondrous wrought. His castles showed me there and towers, water and wild, and woods and flowers, and pastures rich upon the plain. And then he brought me home again, and to our orchard he me led, and then at parting this he said, See, lady, tomorrow thou must be right here, beneath this grafted tree, and then beside us thou shalt ride, and with us evermore abide. If let or hindrance thou dost make, wherever thou be, we shall thee take, and all thy limbs shall rend and tear, no aid of man shall help thee there. And even so, all rent and torn, thou shalt away with us be borne. When all those tidings Orfeo had heard, he spake he many a bitter word. Alas, I had liever lose my life, and lose thee thus, my queen and wife. He counsel sought of every man, but none could find him help or plan. On the morrow, when the noon drew near, in arms did Orfeo appear, and full 100 knights with him, all stoutly armed, all stern and grim. And with their queen now went that band beneath the grafted tree to stand, a serried rank on every side. They made and vowed there to abide, and die there sooner for her sake, than let men thence their lady take. And yet from midst of that array, the queen was sudden snatched away, by magic was she from them caught, and none knew whither she was brought. Then there were wailing, tears, and woe. The king did to his chamber go, and oft he stood on floor of stone, and such lament he made and moan, that nigh his life then came to end, and nothing could his grief amend. His barons he summoned to his board, each mighty earl and famous lord. And when they all together came, My lords, he said, I here do name my steward high before you all, and keep my realm whatever befall, to hold my place instead of me, and keep my lands wherever they be. For now that I have lost my queen, the fairest lady men have seen, I wish not woman more to see. Into the wilderness I will flee, and there will live forevermore, with the wild beasts and forest hoar. But when ye learn from my days are spent, then summon ye a parliament, and choose ye there a king anew. With all I have, now deal ye true. All right, everyone. I am going to leave it there at that for today. We are on the 220th stanza of Sir Orfeo, as translated by JRR Tolkien. And it sounds like Sir Orfeo's wife, the queen, was just kidnapped by some evil magic. And Sir Orfeo has decided to go into exile, more or less, because of it. There's much more of this story to be told, and I will share it with you at a later date. Possibly, if you liked it in a similar fashion, hopefully I can find something nearly this beautiful to be a backdrop for the story next time. But that's all I'm going to leave you today. Stay happy, stay healthy, and as usual, stay in the pursuit of knowledge. Bye-bye, students.